The next question, first respondent will be Mr. Wall. The question is, what approach would you take towards reduction of spending by the state?
Good question. In the State House, there's numerous ways we can stop the spending. I don't know if you've noticed in the paper 5 weeks ago, Huntington County Council asked every department to cut 7% out of everyone's budget. They cut $945,000 out of the county budget. The lights are still on, the doors are still open, and county government's still working. I was told there's no fat in county government. I'm also told there's no fat at the state government. We need to move forward, and we need to get in there and look at every department in there and work with them to help cut their expenses. I was on an IPLA board, which is an Indiana Professional Licensing Board, and everyone has an assistant and everyone has an office, and they're still running behind on their complaints for the Attorney General's office for the one particular board I was with. But there's many ways that we can stop and get these expenses back in line. We need to go line by line.
Mr. Fusselman, your question.
Yes, I think right away we need to put more control back into local government, which would mean shrink state government. We have too many employees at the state level. The State Board of Education is overreaching their bounds. We got too much administrative cost and not enough people working. I've got a wife as a school teacher who understands how to teach kids. She don't need to be told how to do it. She knows how to do it. She's done it for 23 years and she's one of the best. So it's time to allow the professionals who went to school to do it. It's time to allow the businesses to run their own businesses, get off their back. It's time to get rid of some of these administrative people and cut the cost and get government down to size where they belong. That's what we got to do. Now, is it going to be easy? No, it's going to be hard because government likes being big. They love it. They're not going to like me when I say it. But you know what? They haven't liked me since the day I signed up to run, so I'm not real worried about it.
Where would you cut? I can tell you that the governor has cut state government by 30% in the last year. I can tell you that we have the least number of state employees since 1981 in the state of Indiana. 55% of the total state budget is K through 12 education. Another 15% is higher education. Another 15% is Medicaid, which leaves about 15% for state government. Folks, there's not enough to cut. State government totally. Medicaid suffering, higher ed's been cut, and the last resort was K through 12. The governor cut K through 12 about 4 to 5%, and it's tough because God knows I don't want to cut education. But those are the only places left to cut.
It's a great question. It gets back to my philosophy as a conservative. Government is too big. It spends way too much money, and therefore that's why we all pay too much in taxes. If I ask you to raise your hands, if you think you don't pay enough in taxes, no one in this room would raise your hand, I believe. That's why I signed a pledge very early in my campaign that if I'm elected, I will not support a tax increase. It's a pledge that I'll keep. It's a pledge that I have a record on as a Whitley County councilman. I was the only member of my county council to vote against renewing our wheel tax, for example. I've taken courageous stands on opposing tax increases, but it all gets back to how much money government spends, and that's why I support capping our property taxes. The less money that government has, the more we restrict the money that they receive, the less they can do, and therefore the less of our tax dollars they can take at the end of the day. So I believe it's a very important question. It's a question that we all need to be asking our elected officials more and more every day.
All right, gentlemen, the next question we have tonight is on the Second Amendment. Would you ever vote to restrict our Second Amendment rights in any way? The question starts with Mr. Fusselman.
Absolutely not. I look out at my wife and I smile because we talked about this last night. She was sitting on the bed watching TV and I said, you know what? And this is the way I'm going to say it. Every law-abiding citizen has the right to a gun.
That's right.
You know, it is time that we realize that we are good people. We have the right for this. It was written in our Constitution and we need to keep it. And you know what? There's a lot of people that say, well, what about this kind of gun and this kind of gun or this one and I'm going to do this or we're going to take this kind of gun from you. You know what? I trust you guys. In fact, you know what? I love you guys. And I believe in you. And I believe that if you have that right, you're going to take care of that right. Now, when you break the law, no. But when you're a law-abiding citizen, you have the right to the gun.
Mr. Leonard.
Thank you. I sit on the Natural Resources Committee for the House of Representatives and had the opportunity to vote on 2 gun bills this year. I am an avid supporter of the Second Amendment. I will tell you that you can look around the world. If you look at Australia, where they have banned firearms, they have one of the highest crime rates in the world. If you look at England, where they've banned firearms, you have one of the highest crime rates in the world. And the lowest crime rate in the world is in Switzerland. In Switzerland, every family is required to own a firearm and be trained how to use it. It's exactly what our Constitution is about. I support the Second Amendment, absolutely.
The Second Amendment is very important to me. I'm a member of the NRA. I'm also a member of the Gun Owners of America. I've been endorsed by a state-based gun owners group called Who's Your Gun Owners PAC. Not just because I support the Second Amendment, because I've been a leader on these issues. I've given time and financial support to Second Amendment causes. The Second Amendment isn't just about your right to own a gun, it's about your constitutional right to protect yourself, your individual rights. It's the teeth of our United States and state constitution. I'll do whatever I can to protect and defend it.
I've been a Huntington City Police Reserve officer for over 18 years, and it is very benefiting when you come to a scene and you have the public that knows how to use a gun and they've defended their property and they can stand up for their rights. And I am one that is going to stand with them and help them protect their property and their families. I am in favor of the Second Amendment. I'm going to stand and beat the drum to make sure that we can carry our firearms where we want to carry our firearms. And whenever you see a perpetrator on the news that has shot and killed a lot of different people, remember the hero that got them? They're the ones with the gun that took care of them. And we are going to do this, and we're going to protect our families, and we're going to protect our families, or the properties that we have also.